In this video, I'm going to talk about some basic commands in Octave. Let's start with some basic multiplication, addition, subtraction commands and how to do it. Now, let's get started. 4 plus 2, simple, 6. Now, if I do 4 plus 2 and put a semicolon on at the end of it, it's not going to display anything. Now, I can say A equals 4 plus 2 without a semicolon. So it's going to say A equals 6, but if I put a semicolon, it's not going to do anything. But just if I say A is 6. So A is a variable with a value of 6. Now, 4 minus 2, a subtraction. 4 multiplied by 2, 4 divide by 2, and 4 to the power 2. So these are some basic commands on Octave. Now let's do some logical operations. Now A is 6, as we know. Let's define B equals 12 by 2, which is 6. So A is 6, B is 6, but C is equals to 5. Now let's do some logical operations, as I said. Now if so A equals to, it's a comparison, it's a logical operation. So if I say A equals B without the semicolon, the answer is 1. That means true. So A is 6, B is 6, and that's why it says true. Now let's define A equals C. It's false. Obviously C is 5, A is 6, and that's why it's not 1. Now we'll say not equal to 2. So A tilde equals, which is not equal to 2, C. Obviously answer is 1 because it's not equal to 2. Both are not equal. Now I'm going to do a OR operation. So I'm going to redefine x equals 1 and y equals 0. So x is 1, y is 0. Alright, so I would say x or y. So double pipe is OR. So x is 1, y is 0, but the answer is 1. And I'm going to say and ampersand y. Now for commenting purposes, I can put like this. Anything after the percent sign is not going to be processed. So I'm going to say and operation. Here I'm going to say again y percentage or operation. So ampersand again is a commenting option. Now let's define. So disp is a command which is going to show you, So disp is going to show you the x, display the value of x or any variable. Let's define string. Z equals. So string definition or setting a variable value to string is double quotes. Now I equals A, B. So A is 6, B is 6, A equal B is going to be 1, and that's why the value of I is set to 1. Now let's define D as pi. Remember the value of pi is 3.1416. Now let's do a display of the only first 2 digits after the decimal place. So this is how you do it. Disp sprint f float percentage 0.2 f and D is 3.14. If I want to display only one decimal after one digit after decimal, it's going to be like 0.01. Now, so 0.1, I'm sorry. Now let's change the prompt, the sequence. So assuming sequence 1 is 1 to 10. Now 1 to 10 meaning it starts from 1, goes to 10 in increments of 1 by default. So you can see sequence. Now let's say sequence 2 is incremental of 2. All I have to do is put a 2:10. That means start with 1, increment by 2 till 10. Now let's define some vectors. So a vector definition v1 is going to be like this. In square brackets, you're going to say 1 space 3. That's going to be the first line. So this is going to be the first row with 2 columns, 1 and 3. Then you'll go 2, 4, again semicolon, 5, 7, 6, 8, space. So V1 is a matrix of 4 by 2, 4 rows and 2 columns. Now let's do a size. Size of V1 is going to be 4 by 2, 4 rows, 2 columns. And then I'm going to say comma 1, it's going to just give me rows. Comma 2 is going to give me columns. Now let's change the prompt. You see these two, the two greater than signs. So let's change this. I'm going to say PS1 in brackets so you see that the prompt is changed. Now let's define a matrix. So matrix M1 equals to 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now I am going to define an identity matrix. So now once 2, 2. So it shows a matrix of 2 by 2. Sorry, that was not vector up, it was a matrix. I'm so sorry. Please remember V1 was a matrix. Now let's do M2. So this is M3. I'm going to define a 2 by 2 matrix with the values 2. So I'm going to say once 2, 2. Next is M4. It's going to be a zeros. So it's going to be all zeros, 2, 3. So you can see how you can define a matrix in Octave. And let's finally define a random matrix. I'm going to say M5 rand rand 2, 3. So it's going to be a random matrix. And finally, let's plot a histogram. So I'm going to say hist. So I'm going to define a matrix first. It's going to be M6. So it's going to be M6 rand now plot it. It's going to be hist M6. It took some time to come, but this is how it looks like, a histogram of all the values. Now let me change this. I'm going to say M6 random. If I say rand n, that would be a Gaussian random values from 1 to 500. And then I'm going to do a histogram, hist M6. Oops, sorry. So this is a histogram of a Gaussian values rand n. So I think this was a good primer on Octave. Thank you for watching.